Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the GamingStooges Talks podcast. We are the Gaming Stooges.
I'm Jack.
You can call me Cloud.
And I'm Landon.
We hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and if you do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, following us on Twitch, or joining our Discord. Let's get on with the show.
It is the end of March as we record this live, which means it's time for a new season of the Talks podcast.
Yay.
Thank you all for tuning in.
Welcome to Season 3.
Yes, Season 3, Episode
You survived
51.
another year.
So did we, kind of.
Yeah. No. So before we jump into today's topic, let me just make this clear. We are doing this live on the evening of March 26th. Which means we are doing this before we know anything about either the recently announced Nintendo Switch Direct or the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct coming the following week. So if you want to hear our thoughts about those, as I'm sure that anybody that knows us well enough and maybe listening to this live between now and then is interested, we will talk about everything for that next podcast. That said, We're here to talk about some garbage ass games today.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, as any gamer can attest to, we've all had our own experiences with the concept of shovelware. Now, the best way to describe shovelware is it is always a cash grab, a shameless cash grab. Now, not all shameless cash grabs are shovelware, but all shovelware are shameless cash grabs. And this can come in a few different forms. Sometimes it's just like a rushed or half-assed tie-in. This tie-in does not have to necessarily be for like a property that's not gaming related. It could also just be for like an event, like we can talk about it a little later, but Sonic 2006 and Sonic Genesis for GBA, those are pretty good candidates for such a topic. But a lot of the times you'll have like just low quality garbage games in some manner. Either they're licensed or they're not. More recently, we got some, very specific types of shovelware that I'd like to talk about. But let's talk about kind of just some of the earlier examples of shovelware. One of the best examples of shovelware is actually two games. The Pac-Man game for Atari 2600, that version specifically, and the E.T. game. Shovelware, by that example, is a game that is not just bad, but also mass-produced to shit. So you will see it everywhere.
E.T. is like kind of the poster child for shovelware. It's a movie tie-in game that was like made on a shoestring budget by like two people, and it was mass-produced. And it bombed so hard that it almost killed the entire gaming industry.
Damn, that's the four horsemen of the shovelware apocalypse right there.
Yeah.
How many other shovelware literally destroy gaming?
It's the only one. There's no other like shovelware title that was like so bad that like people gave up on video games.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the United States, not so much, but like in the United States, absolutely. We almost lost the entire gaming market because of this one fucking game and Atari's just dumbass decisions. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but that's what we think of as just one example when we think about shovelware, is like just bad games, bad development cycles.
Made on the cheap just to like make money. Like games that are, I feel like more than anything, made with the sole purpose of just making money. Like you're making a game not because of like this is the game that you want to make. It's just you're just doing it for the cash.
Is Sonic 06 shovelware?
I would argue that it is. I mean, it doesn't have all of the criteria quite for shovelware, but it has enough of them. Lots of copies of this game are floating around. You can still find this game for like $10 or $15. It is not expensive at all. It was rushed as a tie-in for the 15th anniversary. So, and the quality of it is pretty damn low. So I don't know, before we jump into Sonic 06, do you guys have like an earlier instance of like what the first game you would say you have experience with that would be considered shovelware?
I think
Because
like
I definitely think I have a couple.
I think like one of the first games I ever owned was an example of shovelware. I always forget what the
Awesome.
fucking name of the game is, but it's a Lego kart racer for the GBA.
Lego Kart Racer.
I think it was just called
Lego Racer.
Oh yeah, it was
Lego Racing.
it was either I want to say it was Lego Racers 2, I think, because the first Lego Racers was not on GBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lego Racers 2.
Lego Racers for the PC. I think we brought this up in the license. I played that on the PC, and that game was fun. I assume
But this is the
handheld
GBA version, so
Yeah, the handheld version was just sort of like, I don't know, fuck it, do it.
yeah. I mean,
Get that handheld market.
that's kind of like, I feel like when you have games that are like multi-platform back in the day, like having a handheld version of the game just to like corner that part of the gaming world was a pretty common practice for like anything that was multi-plat. I mean, like the Tony Hawk games are guilty of this. Like all of the first 4 Pro Skaters were on either Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance, depending on the game. In fact, I think like Pro Skater, as late as Pro Skater 3, they were still making them for Game Boy Color. And those games
Obviously, we're not nearly as good.
I hesitate to call them shovelware, but they very much were just like, we're putting this on a handheld system for the money and to get people, as many people, to play these games as possible.
Yeah, no, true. That is a good point. Like, there are a lot of games that are like that. Like, my first example, and it might not be the worst game ever, but A Bug's Life on the Game Boy definitely fits this, because A Bug's Life was already a mediocre game no matter which version you're playing, the N64, the PS1, but like at least there was like some charm, especially to the PS1 game, but they put that game on everything, and the Game Boy version is pretty mediocre. Like, it's supposed to be a 2D platformer and it's a side scroller, but like the momentum and like the jumping physics, it's so bad. It's not gratifying to actually play. And like, it's like, yeah, it's a Game Boy game, but like, we had good platformers before A Bug's Life, and A Bug's Life is not a good platformer on the Game Boy. So yeah, that was my first example.
I just looked it up out of curiosity. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 was on PS1, PS2, Game Boy Color, GameCube, Xbox, Game Boy Advance, PC, N64, and Mac. 9 systems that game was on.
That's impressive, especially considering back then. Like, yeah, there was a lot of different platforms, but like, it wasn't like we have now today. Like, almost everything runs on some type of like computer friendly, like x86 architecture or something like that, which makes it like super easy to port stuff around. Like, they had to make separate versions for all of these different systems that had different architecture. So like, I would hesitate to say they put in effort, but they actually really went the extra mile to make sure it was on everything.
To a point where the game originally came out in October of 2001. And each version was released on a different date. But the N64 version came out in August of 2002, like almost a whole year after.
After the GameCube had already been out.
The GameCube version came out like a week later.
That is so funny.
But but they were like, yeah, here's Pro Skater 3 on the 64 for the 4 people who don't have a PS2 or a GameCube yet.
Yeah. It's like, just in case there's like some like little Timmy out there that still has his N64 but does not have the new systems. Here you go, little Timmy.
It's really funny.
It is really funny. Landon, what about you? Do you have an early example of like that kind of a game?
I'm like scrolling through all my stuff and like some like major lists of like shovelware, and the things that I can think of would just be like licensed games that we probably already talked about, like Shrek 2 for the GameCube.
Yeah.
A lot of licensed games happen to be shovelware.
Yeah.
Like, they're not mutually inclusive of each other, but they have a lot of overlap.
But yeah, I want it just because of like how like low quality these things were. They were literally just like, oh, you watched the movie? Here, play this video game that might not even be related to the plot of the movie.
especially like from the late 90s until like licensed tie-in games started to die off in like the 2010s. Like pretty much from the start of the 3D era onward, like every like tie-in game for a movie was most likely gonna be some shovelware.
Yeah.
It's amazing when a game like Toy Story 2 happens and it's actually a good game.
But yeah, that was probably the. I mean, that might not be the earliest one I actually played, but that's like the one I can think of because I played a lot of that. I would like my brother had a lot of like tie-in stuff, so like it was like whatever he had, so I didn't really have a whole lot of it. Not saying I was expert gamer, but like it was just like, it's not Pokemon, then I wasn't playing it as a child. So
true. Al in our chat mentioned Rugrats in Paris on N64, and that's a pretty good pick because like there was a couple okay Rugrats games, but like Rugrats in Paris as a movie was not like the most successful cartoon movie out there. Like it might have had like moderate success, but then they also decided let's make a video game based on it, and that was...
There is a Rugrats game, like I think it's just regular Rugrats for PS1, that was like, it's not a nightmare, but it's like a fever dream of a video game. It's like it's like you're like controlling Tommy Pickles throughout his like whole house, but you have like Resident Evil tank controls, and it's like it's not.
I think I watched a video recently from a streamer that like was playing that specific game, and I think there's like another part of the game where like you control Spike to like fetch stuff out. It's really bad, like control wise. It seems like it's kind of like got a little charm to it, but it probably doesn't play well. Another really... Yeah, no, like you said, Landon, though, a lot of the stuff that I could have like talked about was like a lot of licensed game stuff. I think I mentioned back on the licensed game list, if I didn't, there was Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, which is a tie-in game based on a cartoon series that was based on a movie. And now we're 3 layers deep. So I think that you know where this is going. The game was not great. And it was put on like everything. There was on N64, I believe. It was on PS1. It was on Game Boy Color. I played the Game Boy Color version. It's like a bad top-down shoot 'em up. Like it's hard to explain because like you're still like walking around on like the ground, but you don't have like fast enough movement, and it's kind of hard to like really like control where you're moving and also aim to shoot stuff. Like I had fun with it as a kid, but also as a kid I didn't know like what quality games were. So
I feel like I played,
but I like, yeah, it's not a very good game. Like if you're gonna play a shooter on the Game Boy, there's already better ones out there.
Although I don't think I played the Game Boy version, but yeah. I feel like I played a Buzz Lightyear game.
You know what? 2 publishing companies, like just to, I know we were talking about like games that we like had early experiences with, but like I think the shovelware has existed since the dawn of video games, but if there are 2 systems that have more shovelware than any system in existence, it's the Wii and the DS.
I would say
thousands.
the Switch and the PS2.
Oh, we'll get to the Switch in a bit because I have something very specific I want to bring up when it comes to the Switch.
Like if you want to,
but
sorry.
Go ahead, Jack.
If you want a good list, just a good starting point list of shovelware games, look at the Wikipedia page for the list of Ubisoft published games from 2000 to 2009. It's gigantic, and there's so much bullshit.
So I want to build off that point. So then we can talk about other companies too. There have been some companies that are just notorious for pushing out shovelware at some point in time, if not for their entire existence. And like you said, like during that generation, Ubisoft was like numero uno on let's just put out the dumbest shit imaginable. Sometimes the quality wasn't as bad, but like it was still shovelware.
It's them and
shameless
Activision
cash
for
grabs.
sure.
I don't remember which company it was. I think it was Ubisoft, but one of like the bigger shovelware series, like they had a whole series of this on the DS was the Pets
I was going to bring that up.
Literally,
There's so fucking many of those games.
Literally just a shameless copy paste of the fucking Nintendogs games.
On the Nintendo DS, okay, to be fair, the Pets franchise, according to Wikipedia anyway, is an offshoot of... Oh, actually, no, it's its own franchise, but, like, they have been making games since the mid-90s, apparently. But the Pets games on the DS were because of the success of Nintendogs.
Yeah, it was like a shameless, oh, like we can do that too sort of thing, and they just...
You have, on the DS alone, dogs, and all of these are spelled with Z's, by the way, instead of S's. Hamster's Life, horses, cats, Pets Vet, Pets Wild Animals, dolphins. You have Pets Dogs 2 and Cats 2, Pets Horses 2, Tigers, Pets Bunnies, Pets Monkey's House, Pets Rescue Ocean Patrol, Pets Rescue Endangered Paradise, Pets Dogs Pack, Pets Dog Fashion, Pets Cats Clan. There's...
Whoa. Please tell me those are spelled with C's.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, God, thank you.
There's like 20 more that I still haven't named yet.
Oh,
It's
my God.
absurd how many
Please
there
keep
are.
going.
Okay. Pets Rescue Wildlife Vet, Pets Horse Club. Oh, sorry, that one was
Okay.
Sorry, that one was on the Wii. Pets Fashion Dogs and Cats, Pets My Baby Panda, Pets Hamsters Superstars, Pets Dogs Talent Show, Pets Nursery, Pets Hamsters Bunch. Oh, sorry, that one was on the PSP. Excuse me. They had a DSiWare title called Pets Dogs Family, Pets Nursery 2, Pets Horses Family. They were putting these out all the way up until the beginning of the Nintendo 3DS. And then they put out some ones
insane.
on the 3DS that were not nearly as successful.
I think it's... Oh, yeah, the Al mentioned... I wanted to bring it up, but Al also mentioned the Imagine games.
Yeah.
Never forget
Imagine
that
Party Babies.
IGN positively reviewed Imagine Party Babies, and it became a way to compare to almost any other game. Like, is this good as Imagine Party Babies?
God. Yeah, there's
But yeah, the Imagine series was a big one as well, yeah.
a lot of those. A lot of them on the Wii.
Yep.
Holy crap, there's a lot. I could name all of these as well, but there are a lot of fucking games in the Imagine series as well.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine Baby's
It's-
Fashion. My God.
Baby's Fashion.
Imagine Soccer Captain.
Imagine Soccer Captain.
Imagine Boutique Owner.
God.
Imagine Family Doctor.
Is that also a Ubisoft series, too?
Or
Or is that a different company?
it is Ubisoft.
Of fucking course. Oh my
Ubisoft
God.
is the sole publisher of the Imagine series and the Pets series.
So yeah, like you were saying, and thanks to Ubisoft almost putting that whole title on their back, they were like, we are Captain Shovelware for the Wii and DS.
They really were.
Just, and it sucks. So like, the thing with Shovelware on the Wii and DS is like, the Wii and the DS were both opening up the gaming market to like a casual audience. This generation, as we've talked about in a previous episode on this specific generation of games, was known for being the largest generation of gaming by the units sold for consoles all put together. And that means that you had Ma and Pa and Grandpa and Grandma and Sports Jock 520 that usually only plays plays sports ball with his friends, all picking up DSs and Wiis and playing some sort of games. So every company was trying to get in on that, and Ubisoft was Captain Shovelware for them.
Well, yeah, Al, I forgot about this. They actually had so all of the Imagine games had just real people or real animals on the cover, but in Japan, they all had anime covers.
That's interesting. Like, they actually went through the effort to try to make sure that they could market it to others.
Here, I'll post a picture in the spoilers.
You can join our Discord if you are listening to this. Links are in the description as per usual, or on the side somewhere, depending on where you're viewing this.
If this is your first time listening to a Gaming Stooges podcast, first of all, welcome. Second of all, if we ever say, I'm going to put it in the spoilers, that's in our Discord. We have a chat called Spoilers, and it is not actually it technically is for spoilers, but it's mostly for just stuff that we mention in podcasts or streams, and then just throw it in there with no context.
Yeah.
Basically, the
It's a fun time.
chat.
Yeah.
It's a fun time.
The context is you have to ingest all of our media always, forever.
Yup.
And then you will always have the context for anything that goes in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I fail to remember if I got like any shovelware games around that time, mostly because I was old enough to know what shitty games were and would avoid them like the plague, and also I was too poor to afford a whole lot, so like if I was going to get a game, I wanted a good game. I think that I had a few shovelware games on the Wii, not Ubisoft though. I don't remember owning it so much as I definitely played it in my own home. I might have just not kept it because I knew it was so bad. But I remember my aunt had the M&M's Kart Racer game for the Wii, and I don't know if you guys, I don't remember the name of it specifically, but like if you know about that game, it is one of the worst kart games I have ever played in my life. I'm trying to like look up if yeah, it's literally just called M&M's Kart Racing. Like the controls are bad, like this, like the sound design is just like really stupid stock sound effects, and like the track design is forgettable. I don't remember anything about that game besides it existing and me playing 5 minutes of it and realizing it was shit. So yeah, don't play M&M's Kart Racing if you want a bad time. I did recently pick up a game that you could consider shovelware, but I do have some nostalgia for it, and that is the Pac-Man. I think it's called Pac-Man Museum Remix, and it is it's like about a dozen or so Namco games, and most of them are just ports, but then they have like 5 games that they actually like updated and like remixed a little bit, and then put them on the Wii, and like they like up the graphics and stuff like that. One of those was actually apparently on the GameCube first, and I didn't know about that, but I guess, you know, just like with the Switch and the Wii U, it's pretty easy to just re-release a game when nobody played it, so they didn't know that it existed before. But like they sold this thing for like $50. It was full retail at the time, and it was pretty bad. Like there's nothing special about it. It's just a bunch of like old Namco games. So yeah.
Yeah, the biggest piece of shovelware for the Wii I own is Mario Kart Wii.
I had a feeling you were gonna say something like that.
Tish.
But Tish.
But no. Any system that is like sells gangbusters is obviously going to have its fair share of shovelware, because, well, I feel like shovelware is trying to do like one of two things. We're trying to sell you on something that is popular outside of it, i.e. licensed games. So we're going to cover our bases and hit every single platform imaginable, plus some other ones that, you know, that are fucking weird, like Apple Arcade nowadays, but like, I don't know.
Yeah.
The fucking Game Sphere, Resident Evil 4 is on that. But
it's spherical.
It's spherical.
And then you have this system is popular, which means people will buy just about anything
For it.
which is, you know, what happened with the Wii, the DS, but also the PS2. The Atari 2600 had that issue, and that's why people were just like shipping shit. The NES, to an extent, like had a fair amount of just like that was also like very early like game design. Like, so it's like, well, is it garbage for the sake of garbage, or is it garbage because no one knows what they're doing?
True.
And then obviously modern era shovelware lives on Steam and the Switch. The Switch is like
it lives everywhere.
It's everywhere, but like the more popular you are, the more likely your library is like dog shit, like in terms of like overall library, because you have so much shovelware. So
it isn't always, but it's pretty much a straight line upward, diagonal line upwards. Like more popular, more shovelware,
more shit. Yeah.
Yep.
So
more shit. Exactly.
That's why you see so much of it on all of the best-selling consoles of all time.
Yep.
Yeah. Like there used to be so many PS2 games that were literally, and I'm serious, literally just like one game that was like some, like, you know, those like games that are based on, you know, you go to the bowling alley and there's bowling and there's pool and there's like pinball tables. Like there'd be games that were literally just one of those things on it. And I remember my mom or aunt actually had bought me a bundle that was like a few of these games all together. I don't remember how much it cost them, but it couldn't have cost them a lot considering they got all of them at once, and they would not have spent that much money if they were all like full retail games. But I remember I played the bowling game on it, and it was like, it's fine as a bowling game, and like the pool game was fine as a pool game, but like these were literally all on separate discs.
Imagine if Clubhouse Games
was on separate.
Yeah, if
God,
if
you have to buy 51 different carts.
Yeah, for the Clubhouse Games that was released on Nintendo Switch.
You want to play toy
I don't
baseball?
remember.
Too bad. You got to buy a separate cart for that.
I don't remember the names of each of the games, but I remember the bowling game was like Strike Something Bowling, Pro Strike Bowling, Strike Pro Bowling, or something like that.
That sounds right.
It was yeah. Like, these games aren't the worst games out there, but the fact that they're all on separate discs, and the fact that they're literally just, you know, unenthusiastic, uninspired digital renditions of like popular things to do when
Strike Force
bowling alleys and
bowling?
arcades. Yes.
Yeah.
It's literally just bowling. And you know, nothing special. There was a lot of those games on the PS2 as well. There was a lot of just like, this is just a thing and that is it and nothing else.
See, it was published by Enlight Studio.
Never heard of it.
But I think they literally only did... Oh, they did a previous game, Fast Lanes Bowling. I'm trying to figure it out. Hold on. I want Strike Force Bowling. Who did that one? That was Crave Entertainment.
Of course it's Crave Entertainment. Yep. Crave Entertainment is known for some pretty uninspiring games. They publish a lot of shovelware.
They are one of your big ones. But they also did... Oh, no. They did the Godzilla... like, the Godzilla 98, the animated series. So, like, the good part of 98. They did the games based off of that.
Oh, God.
They also did, like, Tokyo Extreme Racer 1, 2, 3, Advanced Drift, Drift 2, and 0. You know, just all sorts of dumb shit. They did the Men in Black games. Men in Black 1, 2. So, yeah.
Jesus.
They're one of your big ones. Yeah.
Crave Entertainment, Ubisoft. We didn't talk about them because like they're kind of before our time. But if you've ever watched Angry Video Game Nerd, he has a vendetta against LJN Games, and they publish a lot of absolute stinkers on the NES especially. So like, if you want to go hunt down some shitty games on your NES, that is the company to look for. They literally don't know how to do anything else. Yeah, there's other companies too, but like you got some big ones across different time periods.
Shout out to Data Design Interactive, the company behind the two greatest games of all time, Anubis 2 and Ninja Breadman.
You mean the same game?
They are the same game. Yes.
Yeah.
They are literally just copy and pasted.
Copy paste.
And that's another thing with shovelware. If you've played enough of it, you might notice that sometimes the same publisher will actually just reuse assets for what is supposed to be a totally different game, and it is not.
That's what we like to call an asset flip.
But guys, They also made Billy the Wizard Rocket Broomstick Racing.
Copy paste. I am 1000% sure it is literally the same as the other two games.
Probably.
And make up another string of 4 words, and they also copy pasted into that.
I can't remember the name of the game, but there was like a super unremarkable, mediocre game that I played on the PS2 that was like, I think it took place in like, it was supposed to be like Greek inspired, and you played as like a Pegasus or something, and it would like, you had to like collect stuff. I think I might be mixing 2 different shovelware games up, honestly.
Like Anubis 2
but I'm
mixed with something else.
But yeah, it was really mediocre, and I remember getting like 3 levels in, and I was just like, this game is stupid.
Sounds like Anubis 2 mixed with Ninja Breadman.
But yeah, like I don't know. Like I played my fair share of shovelware games back in the day. But I think now is the time that we can start discussing the modern day shovelware. So shovelware back in the day, there was pretty like diverse range of like what was shovelware. Like you had, we can go back and talk about it, but like Sonic 06, like that, and Sonic Genesis, that's like examples of like even like a big publisher with like a concrete IP that's not even like licensed thing from something else making like shovelware. But like nowadays, shovelware comes in a couple forms, and like one of them is the most common, and it is phone game slop. And Landon was referring to the Switch, and this ties together because a lot of phone game slop ends up on the Switch. There is no curation. They also usually end up on Steam sometimes too. But yeah, like you just have a lot of like garbage ass games that are, and a lot of these on mobile phones are also riddled with ads too. Like,
or you just get ads for them all the time. Have you ever watched any YouTube video on your phone and then you got an ad for a shitty looking mobile game before you get to watch your video? I do, like every time.
YouTube literally now just like has shitty mobile phone game style games you can play on YouTube. It's gotten to that point. And a lot of them come in like a couple different flavors, but one of the most common I've noticed is the stupid running game where like you're running down a track and you have to like collect stuff and like go through these like gates and shit.
Yeah, Subway
and
Surfers. And every knockoff of Subway Surfers.
Every knockoff of Subway Surfers. Like there's so many of them. There's so many. And I've played a couple, and it's like they're like, you know, they're okay because obviously they're just taking from Subway Surfers, which was a revolutionary game for its time because it basically made, I mean, because it basically meant that like, well, the thing is like it put like mobile phone games on the map as like a form of entertainment. Like I'm not saying like the quality of it was like super high, but like it was one of the bigger games that like pushed its little, you know, on its little sector of gaming.
I do remember being in high school, and when people started having smartphones, it was a lot of Temple Run and Subway Surfers.
So there's a lot of mobile phone games now that are still to this day just shameless ripoffs of Subway Surfers, and there's a lot of games that are in that similar style, either graphically, mechanically, or both, that also end up on the Nintendo Switch, and even some of them nowadays are ending up on PlayStation. Like the PlayStation Store is getting these kinds of mediocre mobile slop games. It's bad. It's permeating everywhere. It's not as common on Xbox because they have some level of curation, but I mean, Xbox is definitely no stranger to these sort of games, as I will talk about a little later because there's another section of games we have to talk about. But I mean, I don't know. I'll admit, I personally have indulged in a few slop mobile phone games before.
How dare you?
You know,
sorry, God.
They're just quick and easy to pick up, so like it's hard to deny, especially when you're like playing them on your phone. A lot of them are free. I mean, they have ads, but they're free to play, so like it's easy to just be like, why not? It's something for my fingers to do for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't really play a whole lot of games on my phone these days, or honestly ever. I never really played on my phone that much, but back in my senior year of high school, that was the year that they introduced iPads to our school as a sort of like, you know, every kid in school has an iPad as a means to like cut back on the cost of textbooks, so people can just like learn from their iPads, but everyone just used them to play games. And I would like experiment with a lot of like shitty like games in the App Store back then, but honestly I don't remember any of them. The only thing I remember is playing Super Hexagon all the time. But
that's a good one though.
That's a great game. That is not shovelware.
I'm sure that Landon doesn't have a whole lot of experience with those kind of games because he's too busy giving his phone storage space to Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle.
Huh? Are we talking about something? I'm playing Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle right now.
I mean, Lennon, when about would you say when about would you say you first got a smartphone?
After high school. I didn't have a smartphone until like I was
like
in college, easy.
Probably like 2014-ish.
Maybe slightly
maybe
before
2013.
That, but like 2013, 2014.
Either way, most of the portion of your life where you have owned a smartphone has just been spent playing Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle on it.
I just logged in, and my login day is 2,949.
You're closing in on 10 years, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Actually,
the app has just
the game has been out.
The app just had its 10-year anniversary for its Japanese release earlier.
How many days did you say?
2,949.
Let's see.
So that's like almost 9 years. Almost.
That is, if you logged in every single day,
Which I did not.
Just over, which you did not. That is just over 8 years.
Yeah. I do currently have over 1,000 consecutive login days, though. So
There you go.
we're making up for it.
Now, thankfully, that is not a shovelware game.
I mean, it's definitely a cash grab.
It's definitely a cash grab. Oh yeah, for sure. Nobody's denying that. Mobile games are always inherently by nature cash grabs, because if they're not free to play, or if they're not like, if you don't have to pay for them, they will be free to pay, and they will like play and make a bunch of microtransactions and just monetize the shit out of every aspect of the game. So.
Even the free to play ones are cash grabs, because all they're doing is like eating ad revenue and like just absorbing cash that way. So it's like, it's all cash grabs. It's all that is.
Exactly.
Yeah. My least favorite common practice, because one, shovelware already saturates like whatever like library you're looking at for these consoles, but like even worse is this is especially true with the Switch eShop, because of just how god awful I feel like it's set up. Is just like, all they have to do is make a new version, like this is the enhanced edition, or the complete edition, or the complete enhanced edition, or, you know, the Winter Supreme edition.
We gotta get like the 18 different versions of hentai girls on the eShop.
And it's considered a new release every time. And most of the time, they're not adding anything new. It's like, we're adding 3 new DLC packs that do nothing.
And another practice that they'll do also is they will just constantly put the games on sale so that they are at the top or near the top of the deals section of the eShop.
Yeah.
So like, no matter where you go, like on the eShop, you are going to be plagued and bombarded with these slop games that are just there to try to just to try to get
It's
you.
honestly part of the reason why I rarely buy like digital stuff for the Switch anymore, and I just wait for a company to do a physical release for it, because then at least it has to be decent. Like it has to have some level of competency, because people wanted this.
Yeah. It gives you the peace of mind that like there was like a publisher that felt it was promising enough to make a physical version for the game. And physical versions of Switch games are not cheap to produce.
Exactly.
They have to pay quite a bit.
Okay, in addition to the Switch having a shitload of terrible shovelware games, I feel like now we have entered like an age where shovelware is even more like blatantly terrible and low effort, because now we have games with AI generated art, and because like first thing I pull up is like this bullshit on the front page of the eShop, and I'm just like, why?
Can you tell the listeners the name of this game?
Sorry. Candy Country Sweet Wonder by Aldora Games.
Aldora Games.
You mean AI Dora Games?
It could be AI Dora.
I was gonna say it looks like it. So when Jack showed up the picture of the art, it looked like an AI generated image of Dora the Explorer. So I'm assuming that it's supposed to be AI Dora Games.
I'm scrolling through. I scrolled through their developers page on the eShop. They have like over 100 games on here, and almost like all of them for like the top like half of this list have AI generated art.
Yeah. To continue building off that point, it's a real problem for the Switch. I don't know how bad it is on the PlayStation, but it is so bad on the Switch that the Switch's eShop literally cannot adequately handle these games performance-wise when you're trying to browse it, and it causes just immense slowdown whenever you're trying to browse the eShop. This is something that, you know, hopefully this statement ages like milk. Like, well, I don't know how I'm trying to word this, but like, I'm hoping this is something they rectify with the Switch 2. We'll see, because the Switch 1 eShop is absolute garbage. And like Landon said, it's almost unusable. Like there's some good games that are on there that you might not be able to find otherwise because they don't have a physical release and they're only digital, but it is so hard to be like willing to be able to look through, because like it runs like shit. And all of these AI, all of this slop games.
Not
like, and once you get into a section, while you're scrolling, you constantly have to wait forever for stuff to load. And a lot of that is probably due to the bandwidth being taken up by all of these shitty shovelware games.
I mean, it's also the fact that the Switch eShop is literally just like a web page running the eShop on the Switch.
Exactly.
Which is why it runs so fucking slow.
Yeah.
But
it's not even integrated into the system.
Not only do they have AI generated art, they're also blatantly ripping off like existing properties. Like here we have Ice World, The Frozen Age.
And it is literally just an AI art copy of Ice Age
with
awesome.
Simba for some reason.
That makes sense.
I remember
so
Simba
bad.
from Ice Age.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, me too. But Jack really wanted to get into it. Unfortunately, AI generation is a very big problem.
A plague.
And it is a plague, and it has taken over a lot of that mobile slop that we've been talking about. If it doesn't already have it, it might get it in the future. Like if it's a game that's a mobile slop and it doesn't have an AI generated image for art to try to like get you, it might get it in the future. Like that's how bad it is. And there's a lot of companies there, and I'm using this loosely, quote unquote, game companies that are literally just established to soak up any legal trouble by having all of this shit. Like they literally make the company, it distributes the games. And when you try to like look up like where their contact info is and all this other stuff, you get like some like bullshit addresses that don't even exist. Like these companies are like ghost phantom companies that are distributing these games. It's insane. Shell companies, that's the word I was looking for.
We really could just like make this entire podcast us just scrolling through the eShop and pointing out all the terrible games that are on here because there's so many.
There really is a lot.
Don't you guys want to play Aeroblast, Waifu Dating Sim, Spicy Edition?
And unfortunately, that's another real sector of like slop shovelware is like
blatant hentai
the amount
games.
There's a lot of porn that has been made because of this shit. Like, and it's not just ruining the eShop, it's ruining porn sites, it's ruining everything.
Half the time it's not even like porn. It's not even, and they just say hentai, and it's just a girl, and it's like some sort of like puzzle or board game.
And wouldn't you know it, the one that I just looked at was a sliding block puzzle game.
Yep, there you go.
Yep. It's like the game in question is like, a sliding block puzzle game, or it's like it's like a block puzzle game that like isn't quite Tetris. Like it looks like it's Tetris, but the physics aren't actually Tetris, so you're not actually playing Tetris. I know there's a game that like was kind of like that might have been popular at some time, but like there's a lot of these games where like the quote unquote tetrominos are like differently shaped, like 5 blocks instead of 4, but instead of like going into like it's weird, like going into like, oh god, like Jack is like his face is like oh no, what did you find?
I found it, Landon. Doku Girls. It's Doku Adventure.
Doku Adventure? Is that just Picross?
It looks like it, yeah.
It does look like Picross.
No, it's not even Picross. It's Sudoku.
Oh, that's even worse.
It's Sudoku? It is Doku Girls then.
Doku
It's Sudoku Girls. Oh my
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But the Switch is like, unfortunately, the worst offender. And it's kind of sad too, because like when you think about Nintendo systems, you think about like heavy curation most of the time.
They dropped
and,
that
like,
though.
They
really like
they really dropped it.
They really did.
They wanted people so I understand because we're coming off of the Wii U where the install base was 0.
Tiny.
And this is coming from the proud owner of 2 Wii U's. One Wii U.
Are you the proud owner of 2 Wii U's or the reluctant owner of 2 Wii U's?
I would love to only own one.
Exactly.
But here we are. And so like the games, like there was some shit like Meme Run that was released on the Wii U, but they still like that got removed.
The letter.
Like
The Letter, everyone's favorite
Spookfest game. My favorite shovelware game.
That like they still like it was far more curated.
Okay.
Of an eShop, so they were just like, well, fuck it, just do whatever. That way we know we have games for this fucking system.
Yeah.
And I think that was
I should
good and bad for the Switch.
Yeah. I should note
first,
that,
oh,
before we move on, I should note that the letter, as bad and terrible and awful of a game as it is, I would not qualify as shovelware because it was made by one person that, started an Indiegogo campaign to make the game, did not meet its goal, but he still went and tried to make it anyway just because he wanted to. And to that end, I kind of admire it, but also it's bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
I mean, to be fair, like that's a lot more genuine than the actual shovelware titles we've been talking about, because at least that is like one guy that was just kind of doing his best with what little he had. But a lot of these shovelware games, they're made by people that like, they're not making a game because they want to. They're making a game, as Landon said, and I think Landon and Jack might have said this into some level, but like, they're just making it for the money. Yeah. They're not making it because they wanted to make a game. They're making it because it's a paycheck.
I will point to the not real big definition, but Wikipedia does have I would say a good definition of shovelware video games. Low budget, poor quality video games released in the hopes of being purchased by unsuspecting customers are often referred to as shovelware. This can lead to discoverability issues when a platform has no type of quality control.
And we've just talked about, unfortunately, that is probably the biggest stain on the Nintendo Switch's legacy, is its eShop and no quality control.
That there is a citation for that, which comes from it looks like an article that was published in 2020. Yeah, I'll post it in the spoilers.
But I agree with that, and it also is thanks to the whole AI generated images also being a thing for like key art for these games that have nothing to do with the AI art that is used to advertise them. Unfortunately, you have games that are winding up on the PlayStation Store and the Xbox Store. The Xbox Store literally has a game that I had shown to the Discord called Mario Strikers Soccer League, and it has AI generated art of what is supposed to look like Mario over a soccer stadium, and the more you look at the AI art for that, the worse it gets. But as soon as you jump into the actual game, it's just like a shitty graphic, poor quality soccer game with no notable characters or mechanics or anything. It was clearly just, lazily put together and just thrown out there. And somehow it ended up on the Xbox Store.
I was going to say, you said the AI art gets worse the more you look at it, but that's true for any AI generated art, let's be real.
I didn't mention it till now, though.
True.
So it was worth bringing up. And it's really unfortunate. And I don't know how much of this is AI and how much of it is not AI, but like a lot of slop games, if they're not just like really crudely made and just like, the style of graphics, they're really simple graphics that like don't have any, real texture to them, no discernible style to them. If they're not that, then they're literally just copying something else's style and trying to pass it off as like their own thing. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's been a mobile game that has been getting a ton of ads online lately called Realms of Pixel, and it is literally a rip-off stylistically of Toriyama's art style, and it is supposed to be like an idle RPG or something like that. And literally there's a bunch of characters that you look at them and it's like, that's Bulma or Luca from Chrono Trigger, that's Nappa, that's this character, that's that character, that's Giru, that's this guy, that's that guy. Like, you can like look at a character and it's like, that's just a Toriyama character that he already made before, except they like look like this slightly different thing. And it's like, it's every character.
Oh god,
notable in that game.
You were not kidding. Holy crap.
No, I'm not kidding.
Are you just talking about Dragon Quest?
I wish I was, but Dragon Quest is a good game. Realms of Pixel is a shameless knockoff. And there's a lot of games that are like
Toriyama
this. Where like
was already ripping off his own character designs for.
But Toriyama's allowed to rip off his own designs.
Yeah. And that's not just to say Toriyama. Like, if you're an artist with a specific style, you're allowed to rip yourself off when you make something for another property because it's your style. But these games are literally just ripping off another existing style without their permission, and it's offensive too, especially when like the artist died not that long ago. Like, it's been like what, less than 2 years since Toriyama died, and they put out this slop game using his style. I don't know about you, but like,
it's barely been a year.
That's kind of offensive. It's really sad.
Oh, okay. No, here we go. We found the good shovelware title on the eShop.
Is this to end
the good
all
one?
shovelware discussion?
No, but I like this one actually. It looks fucking stupid. It's called Cat President, a more perfect union, and it's all real pictures of cats, but it's a fucking
visual novel.
Yeah,
a visual. Oh my god. That's another thing. Like, visual novel games are like super fucking common shovelware games.
Yeah.
And they're not just and there's a lot of those on Steam. I think one of my favorite ones, and I mean, I'm saying this as a fan of this franchise / series, but there's a Toho one, and it's literally it's called Sakuya Izuyoi Gives You Advice and Dabs. And it's a visual novel where like you just talk to Sakuya, and that's it. Like, it's really dumb.
It reminds me of Kramer's Hentai Adventure from Newgrounds.
Oh my god.
Where it was a visual novel where you play as Kramer and you just like search around the land for hentai, and you just like find people and they're just like, here's some hentai, and then you just see like a really low res gif of hentai, and he's just like, that's some good hentai right there.
What was the dating sim game where you can date Adam Sandler?
Oh, Adam Sandler dating sim.
That's literally what it's called. Yeah. So like,
I hate this discussion so much. I'm gonna leave now.
Landon's really going. But this is like the last thing I wanted to mention before we like move on. But yeah, the PC, because we didn't get to talk a whole lot about this part. The PC, especially with Steam, also not having any curation, just has a ton of shovelware, and a lot of it is like kind of slop like that. You have a mixture of like visual novels that are just like really like, you know, low budget memey games that like, you know, had little effort put into them. You have the, you know, your typical slop that we talked about previously, and there's a lot, and there's probably a lot more than any other gaming platform outside of maybe mobile devices, since that it's just become such a huge market. But like, we have to remember that PC gaming is actually bigger than console gaming, not by a super wide margin, but like if you total up all the PCs that are capable of playing games and have like Steam and stuff like that installed on them, and you put them against all of the consoles that have been sold in this current generation, they outnumber that by a lot. And because of that, you get a lot of fucking shovelware on PC. It's really bad.
Bro, when did they put Glover on the Switch?
Oh my god, I forgot that they just outright re-released it, just not even on NSO. They just fucking raw dog put that on the eShop.
For $20, you can buy Glover on the eShop.
20. If they want me to play Glover, they're gonna have to pay me $20. especially if that's the N64 version, because the PS1 version has something about it where like it controls better from what I've heard, but the N64 version is fucking god awful. And if it takes after the N64 version mechanically control wise, no thank you. Landon is still gone, and I want to ask you, Jack, though.
Yeah.
What is your favorite era of shovelware? Since we definitely have.
I don't know. I guess call it like a nostalgia bias, but like I remember I really enjoy the era of Wii and DS shovelware. And there's one more game I'm gonna wait for Landon to come back, but there's one more game I want to bring up because it is peak shovelware. It is the absolute pinnacle of shovelware video games. It's so perfect.
Al said he wants you to play Iggy's Wrecking Balls again.
Wrecking Balls. I didn't even start the game when I started.
So
playing
for
it.
me, I think my favorite era of shovelware, and this is also a nostalgia bias, is probably like the turn of the century. So like when we had the sixth generation of consoles with like the PS2 and the GameCube and the Game Boy Advance, the Xbox, but you still had some games like straggling with releases on like the Game Boy Color and the PS1 and the N64. I don't know why, but there's just like a part of me that just feels like at least when we got shovelware for those, they had to put in the effort to make separate versions on separate systems.
Yeah.
So going back to look at like the version differences, there's a charm to that. It's like, oh, you know, there's this really shitty game, but there's also multiple versions of this shitty game. So you can like kind of like compare and contrast what makes this one shitty, what makes that one shitty. Like, is this one slightly better in this way than that? And like it as like a case study and like a historical context, it's kind of fun.
Shovelware used to have heart, damn it.
Exactly. Shovelware used to have heart, and that is why I personally like that era. That's also the era I played the most shovelware in. Landon, I have one question to ask you before we move on, and that is, what would you say is your favorite era of shovelware? Yeah.
What?
Yeah, well, I want to know what portion of the game of gaming history do you think has has the shovelware that really resonates the most with you? For context, Jack said he is fond of the DS and Wii era, and I am fond of the turn of the century, like right around 2000 when they were releasing stuff on both the 5th and 6th generation hardware.
I mean,
so like you would get like shovelware on every system.
It's definitely not current day because
yeah, it's just depressing to look at.
Really,
yeah,
it's really not fun. Although we are getting a few laughs out of it. Like the best thing about it is just scroll, laugh at it, and then move on because of just how awful it is.
Yeah.
I have been just wanted to point out that I've been scrolling through the recently released on the eShop since I pulled my Switch out, and it took me until just now to get to Star of Providence that came out, a few weeks ago?
Like a month ago, I think.
Like a month ago.
Still,
but like there
a month.
I scrolled through like hundreds of like shitty, terrible, low budget eShop titles.
You have held out your Switch for half of this podcast about. It took you 30 minutes to get down there.
Yep.
That is sad.
Yep.
That's like that gives you tons of gaming cred, gamer points.
It sucks too, because it's like unless you know the name of the game you're looking for, like that is an example, or I'm gonna point so that like it's actually pointing at him on the VOD. That is an example right there of why shovelware is just so bad nowadays. It took Jack 30 minutes to find Star Providence.
Took a while. Granted, I did stop a couple of times to look at some particularly bad games, but still.
True.
Anyway.
And also, it probably wouldn't have taken nearly that long if the eShop wasn't total dog shit. It didn't take forever to scroll.
Well, there's that too.
Exactly.
But anyway.
I'll probably say Wii and DS just because is it that harmful? I don't know. Whatever one harmed people the least.
But yeah, speaking of Wii...
I think probably Wii and DS. Because, like, that's just like a thought. I was like, there is probably a generation where, like, shovelware was the least harmful. Probably that. Because, like, at least with the Wii and DS, like, the shovelware was, like, a unique title that wasn't just a version of another. Like, yeah, it was taking after another game. But, like, as far as, like, the one I picked, like, the turn of the century, like, if you were little Timmy's mom, she could get you the wrong version of the game that you wanted because she didn't know that the systems that game was on were totally different versions. Like, if you were like, mommy, I want the A Bug's Life game, and, like, you actually wanted it on PlayStation 1, and then she's like, here's A Bug's Life on Game Boy, and then you're just like, well, that's the most depressing birthday I've ever had.
Bug's Life at home.
We have Bug's Life at home.
That's like when I got Sonic and the Secret Rings for Christmas, and that was the only thing I got that year.
Oh, the year that Sonic ruined Christmas.
Honestly, I would probably rather have gotten Sonic and the Secret Rings than A Bug's Life for the Game Boy.
Yeah.
So,
fair. True.
There's that. I will say that's the
Al
one
also says
positive for
DSMV.
Sonic and the Secret Games, Secret Rings.
Sonic and the Secret Games. What's up, guys? My name is Sonic. I put out a game called Sonic and the Seven Shrimp. Look it up. But no, earlier when Landon, when you were gone, I mentioned I wanted to bring up one more game that is like the epitome of shovelware, just in terms of like being really low effort, only being put out for the money, and just a marvel to look at. I don't know if you guys know, Hall of Fame wide receiver Jerry Rice put out a dog football video game for the Wii called Jerry Rice and Nidus's Dog Football. And it is a game where you play as Jerry Rice or other characters, I guess, and you play football with dogs.
I thought you were gonna say Call of Duty Black Ops 6, but that's a pretty.
I mean
good
that
one too.
but
Okay.
God.
So that is going to do it for that discussion. I think we've exhausted as much as we can about shovelware.
Tillamook.
You don't want me to do the Patreon and like other stuff first, or you want to talk about your Tillamook
No, it's
first?
season 3. We're doing it out of order now. Tillamook.
All right, cool.
Jack, do you still have your Tillamook?
He's about to sneeze or something.
I thought I had to sneeze. I didn't. I'm sorry. I do have my Tillamook,
get
but
it.
it's in the freezer right
Run.
Okay, fine.
Run.
And now I'm going to talk about stuff, and then he's going to come back, and we're going to be sandwiching this in the middle. So we have a Patreon, patreon.com/GamingStooges. We have a couple different tiers that you can subscribe to. You can just follow us if you just want to know what we've been up to. But if you are a Silver Stooge, then you can participate in polls, and those polls will help decide the direction of the content for the channel. You can help us decide what podcasts we're going to do. You can help us decide what streams we're going to do.
Speaking of.
Because we will have a poll coming up soon, probably towards, what would you say, the end of April? Mid of April? I think it's going to be in the middle of April or so, because we're going to have to prepare for it a little bit after that.
So probably
Mid-late April.
It'll correspond with the launch of the Switch Directs podcast. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So we'll go into more detail about that, but look forward to a poll then.
Landon demanded I bring this back. I have Tillamook, salted caramel pretzel.
Shut up! He's
which
doing
I
the
think
Patreon ad.
I'll go put it
ahead,
back then.
All right, run!
Have you tasted it yet?
This? Yes, it's amazing.
Yeah.
He posted about it.
Nice.
That's why I knew about it.
Yeah.
True.
Salty caramel pretzel.
It's
I haven't had
it
that
is
one yet.
really fucking
really
good.
I had it live. Who knows how many ago at this point, but like earlier this year when I saw it, I tried it out, and it like the ratio of stuff to ice cream was actually like a good ratio, which is like the one complaint I will have about Tillamook ice cream sometime. But that one's really good.
A good deal of
Pretzel
pretzels in there.
and
Of the
and
pretzel.
caramel.
It is salted vanilla ice cream with chocolatey covered pretzel bits and a ribbon of salted caramel.
Nice.
The salted vanilla, it does a lot, actually. It's really good.
I was gonna say it sounds like it might. It sounds like it actually might like enhance the flavor just like the right way. Kind of interesting.
I have the mint chocolate
so yeah,
chip ice cream in the small size for those who are listening to the podcast and not watching the video.
Nice. Patreon.com/GamingStooges, as mentioned, Silver Stooge tier, you got those polls. In addition to the polls, if you are at the Gold Stooge tier, you also get exclusive content in the way of Patreon exclusives. We do at least one per month, and this past month, we did one on the mascot character's tax alignment. We got a new one that's going to be coming out. When this is out, like to other platforms and not being done live, we're going to have another cool idea. We mentioned a game earlier when we were joking around. Clubhouse games, we have a Patreon exclusive that's going to involve that. So if you like Clubhouse games, 51 Worldwide Classics for the Nintendo Switch, tune in for that Patreon exclusive. You can subscribe to the $6 Gold Stooge tier, and in addition, you also get a special shout out, and we've got our usual Pixel Vixen Gold Stooge tier. So shout out out to Pixel Vixen. But of course, thank you to everybody that's at any tier, or even if you're just free and following us on YouTube and just listening to our podcast on whatever platform. Just thank you for tuning in, of course. We also have a Twitch, twitch.tv, or as Landon's been calling it now, twitch.yeah/GamingStooges.
Twitch.yeah.
And we do streams every single week. Usually all of us are streaming at least once, but sometimes, give or take. I've been starting the Final Fantasy III Pixel Remaster on my quest to try to beat all the Pixel Remasters for the channel within the year. It's been quite a bit of fun. Jack, you've been doing Backyard Baseball, and you're still doing Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, correct?
Still are, yep.
And Landon, you finished up with Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake, so you've got a couple different things going on, if you want to talk about those.
For March, I decided I didn't want to start anything new because I knew I was going to take probably 2 weeks off in April from streaming because of things. So I decided I would let the patrons decide on one or more card-based games. I put up a poll for Balatro, Slay the Spire, and Wingspan. Last week, as of when we are doing this live, I played Balatro for the channel. And then this upcoming Saturday, I will be playing Wingspan for the first time.
I forgot.
Balatro I've obviously played.
I forgot that you did a poll, because if I had remembered about it, I probably would have voted for Slay the Spire because I'm biased and it was the only one I played.
And it would have been a three-way tie.
That would have been funny.
I would have not played one of the games, and it probably would have been
Slay the Spire.
Or I would have just put it off until April.
True.
Something. April 19th.
Do you have any plans / want to tease your return stream in April, or is that a secret?
No, I think I'll probably go back to Dragon Quest. I have 2 ideas for the Dragon Quest poll, so look forward to this in April. I'll probably put it out. Gosh, I'll probably put the poll up on, let's go April 13th. I'll start the poll on April 13th, so that gives people some time to subscribe. It's gonna be either Dragon Quest 4, and I'm gonna be playing the DS version, I think, or the mobile version. I'll try to figure out how I can do. It's either gonna be one of those. I have to figure it out because it's weird. And then the other option for the poll, we've done Dragon Warriors monsters, but
You think about Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince?
No, that would be the only game I played for the entire year.
Oh.
No, I think we're gonna try a different spin-off series. Maybe Dragon Quest Heroes: The World Trees Woe and the Blight Below.
Never heard of that.
It's the Mosu tie-in.
Oh, interesting. That'd be pretty cool. I didn't know that they had a Muso game, but obviously there's a Muso game for everything.
They have 2.
Damn.
Yeah, they have a Dragon Quest Warriors 2 as well.
Okay.
But we'll start with the first one. I've not played either of the Dragon Quest Heroes games, but it's just something to still play Dragon Quest.
And that's it.
But there's only so much mainline Dragon Quest I can stream.
Right.
So there's that.
All right, and then we talked about our Twitch, talked about Patreon. We have a Discord. We talked about that already earlier in this podcast. You can join that, obviously. And you can find this podcast on a ton of different platforms. It's on Apple Music. It's on Amazon Podcasts. It's on YouTube. It's on there's Spotify. So we're on most of the major platforms. And with that said, what have we been up to the past couple weeks? It's been a bit. I'm sure there might be something new on somebody's end. Jack.
Hi.
Hi.
I haven't done much this past couple weeks, honestly. But I finally got my Criterion flash sale package in. I spent too much money on movies, but I got these today.
And Wally.
And I mean, Wally is on the Criterion collection, so there you go. I wanted to own it. I didn't have it already. Let's see. I bought, just going to read them off real quick. From Akira Kurosawa, I bought Rashomon, Throne of Blood, and High and Low. The exact same 3 movies that Landon also bought on the flash sale. We did not coordinate that. It just happened to be that way.
That's funny.
Yeah. I got Masaki Kobayashi.
Same brain cell sometimes.
Yeah. Pull them out, Landon.
Yep.
Yep.
If you are listening, they are both holding up the same 3 games that they both got, or not games. Oh my god, movies.
Movies. These are
that they both
movies.
got.
I got Masaki Kobayashi's Harakiri. John Waters' Multiple Maniacs. I got who's the director on this one? Elim Klimov. Come and See. This was one that Bethany recommended. Let's see. A different Kurosawa, Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cure. Let's see. From Wes Anderson, The Royal Tenenbaums and Fantastic Mr. Fox. This copy of The Royal Tenenbaums, I swear to God, I had, you know the part in Ratatouille when the dude eats the food and it reminds him of his childhood? This movie is the closest to new Wii game smell I have had since the Wii. Like, it smells just like a new Wii game, and it, like...
I didn't realize that Wii games smelled different from new games of other systems.
It really was. Like, Wii games had, like, a very particular smell to them when you opened up a brand new one back in the day, and this smells just like that, and it makes me so happy.
That's such a...
It was the line of cocaine they used in the manufacturing plant on the plastics.
I got David Lynch's Inland Empire, and then 4K for Wall-E.
Nice.
That's about... I haven't really been up to much lately. I went to a show on Monday. I actually left town for the first time in months to go to a show.
A hot minute.
I got a couple big ones coming up, but I'll talk more about that on the next podcast. Let's see. Have I been playing anything? Bethany and I have been playing... I think I mentioned this in the last podcast, but we've been playing Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Shout out Cloud, who got me that for Christmas. That game, like, for some reason I thought, like, I don't know why I remember, like, reception to the Switch version of the game being, like, kind of mixed when it came out, but no, it's, like, a perfect remaster, and it looks gorgeous. Like, it's...
No, that was one that actually got good
Okay,
reception,
I couldn't remember because I didn't get it at the time, but no, it's fantastic.
There's definitely been some Switch like remasters that have just like kind of shit the bed. Like I feel like Donkey Kong Country Returns has sort of been like that. Luigi's Mansion 2
Was
I've heard was like just sort of there.
Yeah.
But, like
I think it
Deluxe
I think
was like a good one.
I think it might be just less that like it wasn't so much that people thought it was bad. It's just it's releasing at a quiet period of the Switch where like not a lot of like big games are getting people excited at the time. So like it just kind of
it's not.
No, I've also heard there's issues with Donkey Kong
and
Country.
DKC Returns. I've heard people say they have like not only frame rate issues but also the load times are longer than they are in the Wii version. So it sucks because I was kind of looking forward to getting that, but if it doesn't run very well, then
no, I remember like seeing a bunch of stuff and I like warned you. I was like, I know you're excited about Donkey Kong Country Returns, but don't be.
I'll probably still get it at some point just because I already own a third of the Switch library. I might as well buy.
It's kind of funny how
not including all the shovelware on the eShop. Let's get the
physical.
Yeah.
They don't fucking make all that shit.
It was
physical.
probably just because it was easier to port over because of its native system, but it's kind of funny how Tropical Freeze has like a perfect Switch port, but like DKC Returns for some reason is worse than the original.
To be fair, Landon, there is a game that I think actually got a physical release that is an homage to all those slop mobile games that like puts them all together called You Want Those Games, right? Well, here they are. Now let's see you clear them. And it's like just a montage of all those games for some reason. I think one of those...
Well, that could be fun.
I think one of those actually might have gotten a physical release. I'd have to look into it. But
that could be fun.
Yeah, it's weird. Like there's just like... It's kind of like poking fun at the fact that like all that exists. So it kind of like wraps back to our podcast.
Al brings up a good point. Podcast idea. Remasters that kind of suck compared to their original.
Bad remaster flops, bad remasters podcast when? Sounds good. I'll put that on
we did already do a remakes and ports, remakes, and remasters podcast, but to focus on like versions that are a direct downgrade from the original, that's an interesting idea.
We did talk mostly about like the positive side of things. Like, you know, we didn't really like focus too much on that angle, so it'd be pretty fun to like revisit it.
Yeah.
redux the remasters podcast and only focus on the bad shit.
All right, I will be right back. I got to put some food in the oven real quick.
Right. But yeah, I think where we left off, I guess I'm just talking about what I've been up to.
Yeah, I think he's done.
Yeah. So I haven't been up to too much new stuff lately. I have been playing a lot of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 because I've been just modding the crap out of that. I've been putting a bunch of quality of life changes in. I've been adding a bunch of like different content so that I can like basically make it a fresh new experience as much as I can. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. I've been bringing my Analog Pocket to work with me to play more Pokemon Blue version, and I am actually almost near the end of the game. I caught Zapdos. I reached Cinnabar Island. I'm literally in the middle of the gym right now after getting the key to get inside. So I'm making my way through Pokemon Blue on my Analog Pocket. It's been fun replaying the Generation 1 games in a cartridge form on an actual like Game Boy of sorts. That's been a blast. I've been like playing some Dragon Quest 11 on and off. Haven't been playing too much of it. I gotta get back to it, but I did start playing it again, and I got to Gallopolis, which is literally a city revolving around horses and horseback riding. Ha ha ha. Gallopolis. There's a lot of puns in Dragon Quest, I realize.
Yeah, I was gonna say welcome to the puns.
Puns, the franchise.
We were talking about
Dark Raven.
We were talking about some So there's Stark Raven and Raven Mad, which are just like crow enemies from Dragon Quest. They're literally recolors of each other. But we brought that up on Ace Attorney last night.
Yeah, and that's what you guys were talking about when you had the two recolors posted in the spoilers that we just referred to earlier.
Someone had just like one of the characters in the game had said like Stark Raven or something, or they said the words, and I was like, oh, I love that. Dragon
Stark
Quest
Raven
enemy.
Mad, and you're like, Dragon Quest enemy.
I love Stark Raven.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything new with me off the top of my head. That's like worth mentioning. Yeah, pretty much.
I've been mostly like playing wise. I mean, I finished Dragon Quest. Yay, that was fun.
Yay. Good job. You had a tough time on that damn Hydra.
The Hydra, Zoma ended up actually being worse than the Hydra. Baramos, so spoilers for Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake for the Nintendo Switch family of entertainment system. But you have a gauntlet fight for the final boss for the story. You start off by fighting King Hydra, and then you fight Baramos' soul again. Then you fight Baramos' skeleton, and then you fight Zoma. And Baramos' soul and skeleton were the breezy part. The Hydra and Zoma was like the worst parts. Zoma, because he would nullify any buffs that you were doing to your party, but then also because I had the mirror shields equipped, like all my heals would get sometimes reflected back, like reflected around.
Awesome.
So as soon as I unequipped those, I won. But also like I was like really like heavily using the Sage's morph ability, where you can like morph into one of the other three party members, and basically you can use any of their skill set. So like I would morph Tori into the hero, Mr. Dunn, and then basically I could have access to 2 full party heals every single turn.
Don't you just love using like a cheese strat to like get through one of the final bosses of a game?
I mean, it didn't feel like a cheese strat because he had like 18 attacks every turn.
True.
And so if you can't debuff or buff, then there's only so much you can do.
That's fair. I'm just remembering how I beat the final boss of Final Fantasy II Pixel Remaster. The only way I did was because if you equip the specific weapon, the Blood Sword, it does thousands of damage to him, and nothing else does nearly enough. So, and because he heals every turn, it's pretty much you use that or you don't win.
So that was the other thing, is the Hydra healed, Baramos' skeleton healed, Zoma for the first part of the fight, which you're not going to win in that first part, healed. So it was like a lot of like these enemies are just healing themselves on top of like just doing obscene amounts of damage to the entire party every turn. It's like, what the fuck? So there was that. Dragon Quest 3, excellent game, loved it. I'd also mentioned I've been playing through The Plucky Squire.
Yep.
I beat that. I had a lot of fun with that, even though the Switch version's performance is kind of poopy.
Ooh.
Damn.
It like definitely, unfortunately, I would say buy it on like a PlayStation or PC or an Xbox. Ooh. Or, you know, a real system. I still had a lot of fun with the game, but especially when you jumped from the storybook to 3D, especially the further you just got into the game, like it would like lag anytime you saved, like it would skip like 10 frames or something, and
Awesome.
like if you were holding a direction, you would like jump forward when the game like decided, oh right, I know what I'm doing. But that was only when the game like auto saved, but like there was still
okay.
some like when you were in like the 3D sections, like the Switch version doesn't look super pretty, but I still played it, still had a lot of fun with it. Very fun concept of being in a storybook and being able to come out of the storybook. A little spoiler, there's a point where the villain is able to change the storybook, and like they do a restart of the game, and like they change the sort of like how Doki Doki does its bullshit.
Yeah.
It was kind of a similar feeling.
Interesting.
Where
Okay.
the game does something similar. And then, like, the narrator becomes, like, antagonistic to the Plucky Squire and his friends. Like,
Okay.
a lot of, like, his, like, calling them troublesome, meddling, like,
This is actually
no
kind of
good.
making me interested. Just like the.
And it's, like, the game's not super long either. So, like, you can breeze through it,
Okay.
too. So, I will say it's a good game. Just the Switch version is just a little less than stellar from Switch ports.
Gaming Stooges game
and-
recommendation for homework to play, The Plucky Squire.
Yeah, try out the Plucky Squire. I picked up a couple of 3D prints things. I've shown off on
you've
the
been getting
Discord.
a lot of them.
I've been like trying to get my handheld shit set up. So like this is my handheld Zelda for Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. I have another 2 of these, one for Metroid, one for Fire Emblem, even though I probably could have just combined those. But I have them all separated.
Doing
in
them
my
by
case
series.
because-
That's pretty cool.
yeah. I have like the big 4 series that I like want to collect the entirety of, although I can throw Dragon Ball in this, I guess. Zelda, Metroid, Fire Emblem, and The Legend of Heroes, the Kiseki games specifically, are like the 4 series like I would say I absolutely love. And so like for those 3 that have like prominent Nintendo handheld games, I wanted to have those 4. And then I got 2 trays each of these guys. So I got one for Game Boy Advance, so I have a second one. And then I have one for Game Boy. And I specifically wanted ones that held it with the dust covers. And so I own 1 bajillion dust covers now. That way, it's unfortunately the Bionicle tube at some point just does not hold enough.
Unfortunate.
RIP Bionicle tube. I'll still keep it. It cannot hold like enough nearly anymore. It hasn't for a while. So there's that. And then I've gone back to playing more Tears of the Kingdom. I'm almost done getting all the shrines. We'll talk more about that in a couple podcasts. But very soon, I'm going to start this guy.
Penny's Big Breakaway. I am looking forward to you playing that.
Yeah. I'm probably going to start it next week. And we'll see. We'll see how it is. I'm very excited to play it.
All right.
Oh, one other thing. I have 1 bajillion things I've been watching, so I'm just gonna list it all off. I bought the Criterion channel, Criterion's streaming app. So in the last week, I've watched. Let's see. I'll go reverse order. I watched The Truman Show, Once Upon a Time in the West, The Conversation, Heat, and Stray Dogs. It's all like within the last 3 days since Sunday. And then like other things I've been watching over the last couple, like 2 months, because I really didn't talk about this in the last podcast. The Residence is a really good whodunit on Netflix. I've watched The Pit, which is a really good sort of like doctor show on ER, like ER style on Hulu Max or HBO
Hulu
Max.
Hulu Max.
I didn't know they
Max.
combined.
Max, Disney Plus, Hulu Max, ESPN.
Yeah.
It's all one thing now. So The Pit on Max. Also on Max, Succession. I enjoyed that. I've started watching the Lincoln Lawyer series on Netflix. I have a lot of time to just watch things right now.
Good time to get into movies.
Is just watch movies and TV shows. Let's
Hell
see.
yeah.
The question is when are you going to sit down and have the girls watch Dragon Ball as you rewatch Dragon Ball?
I mean, so when I was watching Dragon Ball Daima, a lot of times I was feeding them. So they have already started watching Dragon Ball. And we will start watching Godzilla movies too, because all of the show like ones are on Criterion, so I don't have to like hook up my PS5, pull out a disc, and put it in.
Nice.
But then also they have a lot of the Heisei ones, so I can put not a lot. They have 4, so they have some. Yeah, not that I don't like pulling out all of my fucking shit, but like when you're trying to feed 2 children at the same time, it's a lot easier just to press a couple buttons.
And open up a streaming app. Yeah,
just open up a streaming app. We just got a new a Google Home type thing because our Chromecast died. So like,
gotcha.
We've been like playing around with that. And it's been wonderful for dealing with these 2. So yeah, a couple TV shows. I definitely recommended The Residence to Jack because he like really likes whodunits. But you have to find Netflix or steal it.
Yeah.
Jack, what were you going to say earlier? I saw you trying to cut in.
Oh,
to
I
say
just forgot
something.
that I keep neglecting things that I've been watching, but Bethany and I have been watching through House because I had never, despite like growing up being surrounded by that show, I never actually sat down and watched it, and it's very entertaining so far. We're like almost done with season 2. And
Nice.
we've also been rewatching the Harry Potter movies lately, and it's been pretty fun.
All right. Well, that all said, this has been a pretty short one. If you were watching this live, sorry about the cutout. Happens sometimes.
I thought it was going to happen to me because we're gearing up for a storm right now out there. And so like when we were starting, Kari was like, there might be a power outage. And I'm like, we'll deal with it.
Yep. But we will see you guys next episode. It will be a little late compared to like when these directs are happening because Landon's going to be going on a vacation, but we're going to give you our detailed thoughts about a lot of Nintendo announcements off the back of 2 presentations. So I hope you guys are excited. We'll see you next time. Roll the outro. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the GamingStooges Talks podcast. If you enjoyed us, consider subscribing to our podcast RSS feed or follow us on youtube.com/GamingStooges and twitch.tv/GamingStooges for more gaming content. If you'd like to chat with us, join our Discord. The link can be found in the episode description. We also want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Your continued support means a lot to us. Not already one? Please take a look at what we have to offer anyone who becomes a patron at patreon.com/GamingStooges. See you next time.